So today we're going to talk about the Billy Bookcase and how to install it. And I'm just going to give you a quick look at the brochure that it comes with, just in case you've lost yours. We're going to start off with these three big pieces, add the small bit, and move on from there. It's relatively straightforward. You don't need too many tools to get this done, and there isn't too many steps, luckily, so that's a good thing. So with that being said, that looks like all there is to show, and we'll move on to these three parts. So you can differentiate these ones because they've got holes in, so make sure you're putting all the ones with the holes together, and the ones without the holes just keep to one side, out the way. Now you're just going to use these little wooden rivets, and you're just going to put them in, these little wooden rods, and they will look something like this. Now I want to say to you just quickly before we begin, you want to measure your skirting board and just compare it to the back of the unit. This is where a lot of people go wrong. IKEA don't use the biggest diameter at the back. They're made for very, very small skirting boards, so you want to just measure your one. And if you've already built the unit, that's fine. You can just use something like a hacksaw and just carefully go up the back of it, trying not to bash into the back of the unit because you can only go so far. It's a bit of a nightmare, but we have to just work with what we've got to get as flush as possible to the wall. There is an easier way of doing it, which is why I'm talking about it now. And you can just measure before you assemble the unit together, mark it out on your measuring tape, and just use your hacksaw to just gently cut that portion off. Now it's not going to be perfect, as you know, because of the way that IKEA measure their one. You can't really get it that flush, but you can do your best. You can even sand it down if you must, but just be careful because it is chipboard. Now moving on to these two bigger planks, you're going to use these screws, and they just go into 4-6 formation. And I like to use my trusty Bosch drill on the screw setting as usual, and just turn it down to screw control. I mean, sometimes I use it a little bit higher than screw control, just so that it actually goes in. And we're just going to put them in. You can use a manual screwdriver if you like, a Phillips, but something that's electronic would be better. And we're going to move on to this next step now and just drop these panels in, making sure everything lines up perfectly and that the chipboard is all facing the same way. I'll tell you why in a second. So we're going to move on to these little plastic screws. I think they used to be metal once upon a time, but the majority now are plastic with these types of units. Just make sure everything is nicely lined up. Yep, that's looking good. And then we're ready to move on. But before then, I just want to show you what the consequences are of not ensuring the chipboard is all the same way. So this is what can happen. You'll be facing a chipboard side forward. It's not the end of the world. You can just paint it or put a little white strip there. But we prefer that we don't do that. So use a flat head to tighten up the rest, and you'll see it all coming together. And just keep going with those. The bigger the flathead, the better actually, because it will get a little bit of a better spin. And just carry on filling those holes with these plastic screws, like so. And just slowly work your way round. Make sure that the wood is actually being pulled together as you do it. Turning it clockwise to the right. Just have a little play about until you can actually get them in. They can be a bit fiddly, so you might need to just go lower and have a look to see where the screw is sticking out. And once that is done, just make sure that they're all tightened. You don't need to go crazy with the tightening, just enough until you feel it grip together, and maybe a little tad more. So I'll show you now. And as you can see, it all comes together, and that hole there should just disappear till everything's nice and tight. So that is fine for that. Okay, now that that's done, we're going to move it on, making sure everything looks good, and on to the next step, which will be pushing on the back portion onto the back of the unit, and just make sure that you're nailing in the nails spaced out and all together. Before we do that though, you might want to just mark in the center point so that when you do your nails for the middle point, you know exactly where they're going to go. And you can also use a straight edge to go from left to right to give you an ultra straight line, so you know exactly where the nails are going to go. That's very helpful. Otherwise they'll just all be bored through the wood, and we don't want that. So you're going to slide it in, just be as careful as you can. Just make sure that the unit isn't lopsided before you put the nails in. That's very important. So make sure everything is quite straight. And we're just going to get our nails, and bear in mind you're paying attention to this diameter because it's going to be pretty much the same all around. So just try to visualize that rough shape as you go all the way around, and just space your nails out like so, not too close together, not too far apart, that kind of thing. And you get the idea here. So you're just going to do the top, the middle and the bottom, and that's the straight ruler that I was talking about earlier on if you want to do that. And just go ahead and hammer in all of the nails. Just be careful with the hammer that you don't chip anything now as you go, and it should be fine. And that's the middle point that I was talking about earlier. And the same for the top. Now if you are nailing and it goes wrong and you chip the board, that's fine. You can just patch it back together with some Yoo-hoo or some similar glue and just put it back again. This is what it would look like if it chipped. So just patch it back with something like this. So we're ready now. The unit is up and it's looking strong. We're just going to put the little metal bits into where we'd like the shelving to go. Just take our time leveling everything out, making sure that it's properly pushed down and that we're satisfied with it. And just go ahead and build up all of the shelves one by one, putting them in the position that you'd like until we have what looks like our unit. Now we're going to keep moving forward. I'm not going to waste too much time. We're going to talk about where the hinges go now. If you've bought the doors, you're going to be moving on to this step. If not, you can skip ahead. But if you've bought the doors, I've got these glass ones. They're actually half glass, half panel. You're just going to blank off the side that you're not using. And be careful actually, because you want to make sure you're fitting the right side to the unit. And just go ahead and put these screws in. It's the little stubby ones that go into the hinge. Just take your time with these, but make sure they are definitely in, because you don't want that glass panel falling out onto the floor. So there we go. And then making sure this bit is in correctly, and that little serrated bit is facing to the right, and I'm screwing into the B section, not A. Okay, for this specific unit at least, I'm going into B. And just take our electric drill and just screw that in. And once that's done, just be very careful and make sure that it's all in properly and that it's anchored well. We're going to do the handle next. With the hinge, you just kind of put the screw through and then it sort of locks in. But moving through to the handle, we just sort of bore that through because there's no hole there, attach our handle, and the job is done. You can get other handles if you like, but we're just using what it came with today. They don't look too bad, they do the job. But you might want to put some fancy metal ones on. And don't forget your little rubber guards, so they just go in the corners, and you might want to put one in the middle as well if you've got the big doors, but they just stop the unit just completely smashing into the it still smashes in without the soft close hinges, but it's better than not having anything there. You might want to get some chunkier ones. Now I've got a smaller Billy as well, and if you do have the smaller one, then it's pretty much the same, but just imagine you're going halfway up instead of the whole thing. Same way to assemble, except this one has 2 hinges instead of 3. It all goes in the same way. And we're going to move in onto the lights. If you wanted to add the lights, then we can move on to that. And they just literally pop off from their back casing. Just take your time popping that off. It feels like it's going to break, but it won't. And just figure out where you'd like these lights to go. If you'd just like them at the top, if you'd like them on the middle, or on all shelves. And we're just going to take that disc and make sure that we line it up with the little hole at the back. And we're going to take this little extension and add that to our drill if you're using one. And that's just so that we can add what it came with. It comes with a little Torx bit. For some reason, I don't know why it's that and not just a normal Phillips, but you could use Phillips screws if you like, but we're just going to use what it came with. And I'm going to be wiring it in around the edge using the pieces that it came with. I'm not going to add anything additional. There should be a little space in between the cupboard, and we're going to go up through there. Now, if you don't have doors, you'll want to probably do something else, and you're going to have to make a hole either in the top or in the back. But because I have the doors, I'm going to go through the front and try not to screw into anything. Make sure you've got the right transformer for the lights as well. I've just used the basic one with 6 ports on it that plugs into the wall. But you can get remote ones and all the other shred-free type controllers. But for this occasion, I'm just using that. We are going to make use of these little plastic parts that they give you. They only give you 2 per light, which isn't a lot, but I'm sure we can make use of it. You can go that way if you like, but I really wanted to make use of them, so I haven't decided to go straight from the light on this time round. I'll show you what I'm going to do. Once you're satisfied with the placement of everything though, then yeah, go ahead and install that light cable. So I'm just going to push it up as much as I can and just get it to look straight. And I've put the first one in the corner there so that it starts to grip our cable into position. Don't go too far up to the edge, just leave a little bit of a gap so that that cable can bend around the corner. And then do the same and just place the other second plastic casing slightly closer to the light. And I will do that now, but I'll show you the top first. And that's where the cable goes up and over the unit. So I've got both of them in now. As you can see, we can only use what we've got, what the light came with, but it doesn't look too bad actually, because it's all white and the unit's white itself. It actually looks pretty slick. If I was using the wooden one on the other hand, then it might stick out like a sore thumb, but for this, it actually looks pretty clean. So I'm pleased with that. That's okay. That would do for now. And to be honest, it's pretty much the only option you have if you buy the lights from IKEA. They only come with these types of parts, so you just have to be quite creative and make it work for you with that light, and just try and take your time and get it as clean as possible. So that is the light fully working, so that looks good. If you want the light to shine further through the cabinet, you could use a glass shelf instead of a plain one, but for now we're just going to use what it came with. So that is fully installed and we're ready to move on now that the light is in, and we're happy with that. For the other side, if you've got another cabinet that's on the other side, you want to go the other way so that there's no cables showing. So we'll just do the same thing but in reverse. Go into the right instead of the left. Go across, up and over. So that's both of our units, or all 3 should I say, all looking nice and tidy. I'm not going to bring them together because I thought in this type of setup it looks better to be spaced out. So we're going to keep them slightly spaced. But all the doors are on now, all of the lights are in, and I'll show you how I wired it together, because you don't get a tremendous amount of slack. You get enough to sort of do the job, but you don't get a tremendous amount, so just be aware of that before you put everything back together and then you suddenly discover that actually you don't have enough slack. So one end comes out here from the right side of the light, and the other end comes out here. And I've just plugged that in to this part of the cable, which will lead to the plug. So now we just have to work out where we're going to hide that cable. Just have a little think before you wire it all up and just see where you'd like it to go. So there is a dead space at the bottom of this middle cabinet, so I think that the best place for it to go would be under there, because it's just dead space not being utilized. So we're just going to connect the left cabinet light with the right cabinet light into the middle part of the transformer, and we're just going to tuck it under there for now. I think that would be okay. It's better than it being on show, so we're just going to do that, and then we're going to push the unit back. So that's everything connected up, as you can see, one going from one side, one going from the other. Push the cables back in behind the unit so that everything's nice and tucked away, and then just sit the other remaining bit, if you can, on top of the skirting board. There should be enough slack unless you've got really heavy duty skirting boards. But just, yeah, push everything in, make sure it's nice and clean. There's no reason for a bodge looking install. I mean, nothing is perfect in life, as I've shown you before, with things breaking or being put on wrong. But that's just how it goes. We can just do our best. So just push everything back, get the cables in nice, and just leave that in the middle. Try not to crush it to pieces when you move the unit back, and it will just be going underneath there. Nice and easy. Shimmy your way back out and just push that unit back slowly. And then I will show you what we do next with that long piece. So that's back. With these excess bits, they would have dropped. Just push them back up and sit them there nicely so that it takes the eye off of that cable. And obviously just do the same on the other side until you get everything sitting right. On this side there'll be two cables, but that's fine. Just sort of sit them as close to each other as possible. This is the excess part that I was talking about, and that too is going to go through that section, so you're going to have to move the unit forward, and that's the reason why I haven't anchored the units in yet. So once that's behind, it's going to come out from whichever side you've wired it in, and just let it follow around the skirting board to the switch so that you've got easy access to that. You can clean up the cables later on, but for now everything's wired up and it's actually looking pretty fresh. I'm happy with that so far. So that's everything wired up, and you know that it's working now and it's looking clean. So we can go ahead and make sure everything is closed and get ready to anchor these units to the wall so that they don't go and fall on someone. I think it's always a good idea rather, to anchor them just in case. And the types of wall plug that you need will depend on what type of wall you have. So these ones are hollow plasterboard type walls, so I'll just use what I have, but depending on the load and whatnot, I quite like the self-drilling hollow anchors, which are the metal ones. They've never let me down. And for quite heavy units like the packs and stuff like that, I always use the metal ones. But for now we're going to use the plastic hollow wall type ones for this small unit. And with this particular unit it works differently. It sort of works in reverse. You've just got to feed that through the gap and then try to work out a way to do it. And then for the other ones, the bigger units, they just work the other way around. So you just kind of screw them into the unit and then the other side to the wall. And that's everything anchored and the lights are on. Everything's looking good. Just do your checks. But other than that, you've just managed to assemble yourself some Billy bookcases. So as usual, I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you found it helpful and informative like the other ones that have been posted onto this channel. If you did, definitely give it a thumbs up, drop a comment, and hit the subscribe button so that you see all the other videos that might be posted that are similar to this. But thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.